Welcome, everybody, back to Paranormally Correct. It's Thursday night. We got a great show tonight. I'm glad you're all here. We're going to give a few minutes for everybody to show up. I'm your host, Sarah, and I have with me,
Rebecca.
and we have Joedy Cook on tonight, and it's always a good time when we got Joedy. So,
Hey, it's
how are
always a
you
good time.
doing? Yeah, how are you
Doing
doing,
good.
Jody?
Doing good. Doing good. Glad to be back on. It's been a
Yeah,
while.
I know it's been forever since I've been doing streams. I just recently started doing them again, and I'm glad to have you back here at the beginning of my new era of live streams where all hell breaks loose and we get wilder than a buck on air.
There we go. There we go.
You guys pay no mind to me tonight. I just chugged a monster and I am twitching with joy. I'm all over the place tonight. Woo!
She
And
is tasting colors.
yes, I am. Absolutely. And one quick thing I want to throw out there, I see the number going up. People are coming in. The chat settings tonight, you have to be subscribed for 1 minute to comment. So we're going to give everybody a chance to come in and get subscribed. And that way you can leave your comments and ask your questions. And we can have a big old huge conversation. It'll be wild and crazy. And in the meantime, we're just going to sit here and shoot the shit for a minute while everybody shows up, because I know it usually takes a minute. So, how's it going, guys?
Doing good. Doing good.
Yeah.
I'm not underprepared. I just like to fly by the seat of my pants. Hello, Cryptid. Good to see you. Hello, Miriam. Good to see you as well. All right, so we're going to talk about some fun stuff tonight. I guess we get started with some recent Dogman news. Is there anything that's super interesting, super new going on in the Dogman community, Joedy?
Yeah. A friend of mine down in Texas has some property. He goes hunting on, and it's his own property. And he has been seeing dogmen on his property, and he actually shot one, and he said it didn't even phase it at all. He just the other day he said he saw a smaller one in a tree that was watching him because he has a hunter's blind, that's where he does his deer hunting, and
Yeah.
he's been there watching, to see if he sees anything, and he saw one in a tree, a smaller one in a tree. And about two weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, he has a deer feeder, and he noticed that next to this tree there's scrape marks going down the tree in the scrape marks. So he pulled them out and went ahead and sent them to me, and I took them to a vet to get looked at because I wanted to get DNA work on it. And, our vet looked at it, and he said that the claw is definitely canine, but has some type of fungal infection, which is typical for canines.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and it actually came from the claw from the tree, and it's pretty big in size, and it's very much like a dog claw. So I got it sent in to another lab to get DNA testing on it to find out what it is, because of one facility really kind of screwed me over. We had some hair samples that we pulled out of Kentucky, and sent the hair samples in. They sent me an email where they said that the testing on the hair came back. It's an unknown species of canine. It doesn't match up to any domestic dog or domestic wolf. That's
Whereabouts in Texas was it?
Kentucky.
Oh, no, the first one.
Oh,
Well,
geez, I can't think of it at the top of my head. You would have to ask me that. I'll get here. I'll have to look it up here in a minute.
okay. No worries. I live in Texas.
Yeah, no, that's not a problem. I'll have to remember here.
Yeah, Rebecca's a Texan, so she's probably thinking, "Oh snap! I'm locking my doors tonight."
Well, it's this guy's private property. I mean, it's like I said, it's really beautiful piece of land. And I don't know if he really probably wants me to give out the the area,
Yeah.
and stuff.
I've
Because if people,
actually heard quite a few people in the last year or two talk about like Dogman sightings in Texas, and I just wonder, like,
oh, I can
it,
tell you, some crazy stuff that's coming out of Texas. But let me finish to tell you about this DNA, right?
okay.
So it came back as an unknown species of canine that didn't match up to any domestic dog or wolf. And I said, and I replied back to him. I said, that's fantastic. Can I get that in a report? They sent me the email back saying, no, you can't have it in a report. And I'm like, why? Why can I not have this? So they would not respond to anything. They mailed back what was left of the hair from the testing. They sent it in a sandwich baggie, which everybody knows that you do not put hair or any type of DNA in plastic because it will contaminate it. So they purposely contaminated what was left of that hair when they sent it back to me. So all I have is just an email from them stating what the test result was. But that doesn't prove anything unless you have a document from the testing facility. So, I mean, they were all excited at first, and then all of a sudden, it was like, we can't give it to you.
Huh.
I mean,
that's pretty weird. Is this a common occurrence with Dogman evidence? Because we were just talking the other night about how there's it seems like there's a big old shortage of actual physical evidence of Dogman. So is it like a common thing where if somebody does find something and they send it off for testing, some kind of sabotage happens? Is that common?
Well, I believe so. Because see, when anything goes into a database, it goes into a much larger database. Okay. And the Department of Agriculture monitors all that stuff because anything that deals with any type of DNA on any type of animal goes through their server. So it will put up a red flag that they had some type of DNA of an unknown species. So sometimes, it could be ignored by them and sometimes it's not. But what I'm thinking is that this particular incident, they either told them not to give any information out or any documentation or anything to that about what it is. And it's like, I excuse me, I paid you for this stuff, and they end up sending my money back.
Okay. I mean, at least you got your money back. I'm surprised they even did that, honestly.
Yeah, I am too. I'm really surprised they did that. But it wasn't the fact that they wouldn't give me the report that made me so angry. It was the fact that they purposely contaminated what was left of the hair. I mean, it was a sandwich baggie that they sent it in, that it looked like someone had their sandwich in, because it looked like little bread crust was in there. I'm not kidding. I still have it. I was so furious because that was done on purpose. But luckily, I did not send any, or I didn't send all of the hair. I kept some of it, for myself, and sent a little bit to them because they didn't really need a whole lot of it.
Do you have pictures of this hair that you've posted online any place, like on the website or?
This I never posted on online or anything like this. This was just an investigation that we did. There's a bunch of mobile homes in this area. Okay. And it goes out into the woods, and you kind of have to go down a hill to get into the woods. Well, these guys hit a deer. And so what they did, they took the deer and put it down at the bottom. They literally walked down, put the deer at the bottom of the hill, walked back up. When they looked back down, the deer was gone. The deer was dead. I mean, this thing was dead. The legs were broke off. There's no way this thing got up. Something snatched that deer. So they thought that was weird. Well, a few nights later, the guy goes out to take trash, and he sees something digging in the trash at the trailer across from him. So he walks over and says something to him. And he said, man, he said this thing was like a 7-foot werewolf. He goes, I'm not kidding. He said this thing looked at me, growled, showed its teeth, and he said, dude, I hauled butt. And he goes, he was looking on the internet about what he saw, if there's anything, anybody ever seen anything. And that's how he ran across our website, and he contacted us, and Dave and I went down there to talk to him. And so there's like a fence line that separates this piece of property. So you saw on the fence, it's all barbed wire. You saw like white hair on there for where you saw the deers jump the fence. Well, this thing kept going back over the fence. There was like a 10-foot section with all this hair on it. And there were blood on some of the spikes on the barbed wire. So we tried to get some of that off on there, but we got as much hair. I mean, it's really long hair. It's about 6-7 inches long. Very coarse hair. Some of it had the little cubicles on the end of it where it got pulled out, where they actually do the DNA from.
Yeah.
And so we end up collecting like all the hair from there on this case. But yeah, the people in there, we were talking with everybody in there. They all were coming out saying, yeah, we see this thing all the time. We're moving. We're afraid for our kids. The guys in the neighborhood, they go out in their little patrols at night now and stuff. I mean, they're taking this stuff seriously and stuff. He said now we have a very big police and DNR present in the area, which we never had before. So
yeah, and I just wonder though, like, I mean, if it were me, I would, and I know pictures obviously are not comparable to like scientific reports or whatever, but like it just seems like there's so little documentation, like evidence online for Dogman. I mean, like if you could like post the pictures of the hair, or maybe like, I don't know if you could take it to like a dog breeder. Like I have a dog breeder in my family, and she knows everything about dogs. And, somebody like that, maybe if you took the hair to them, they could look at it and at least give you an opinion on it. And it's like, obviously this is not as good as getting something from a science lab where they confirm that it's some type of crazy beast, obviously. Mm-hmm. But it's something, because like we were looking the other night on a live stream all over the internet to see, because it's been years now that Dogman's been increasing in popularity, and there's still nothing. There's still like, we got some footprints, we got some witness reports, we got people claiming there's Dogman in Congress now. Like,
oh my God! Don't even start on that.
You knew I was going to bring it up.
Oh my God!
Redacted.
Yeah.
But I just like to see more evidence, because, like, you guys know, I had like a weird cryptid experience back in 2001 where me and a friend hit something with a car, something big. And I did not know for decades. I had no idea what it could have been. I always just, it was just like a total mystery. And then, when Dogman started increasing in popularity, I was like, what, that kind of sounds like what I experienced. Maybe it was a Dogman. But other than that, like if it wasn't, that's the only thing that I have to gauge Dogman off of, is this one unexplainable experience that I had. Other than that, I'm starting to wonder, like, are we ever going to see any tangible evidence? Because I feel like we got evidence for Bigfoot.
Well, I'll tell you a little bit about evidence here, because since you and I, I mean, we kept in touch off and on. There's a lot of stuff that's kind of happened. And I'll tell you some very interesting things about that. There is evidence out there. It's being suppressed. Okay. That's the truth of it. There is, I mean, the hair samples that are coming back. Now we have the claw, I have a tooth which is kind of very odd looking. It's not like any other dog tooth. It's not any type of. It's not a bear. Doesn't I have a bear tooth. Match it up to it, doesn't match up to that. Match it up to a dog. Even match it up to a gorilla. I bought this manifold, or I can't remember how well it's pronounced, like part of the jaw of a gorilla. And
a mandible, I think.
Mandible, yeah. And it doesn't match up to any of that. It's a very odd looking canine. And but the thing of it is, when I went to get it tested, they told me the tooth is fragile. They said it will destroy the tooth getting it tested. And it's like, well, no, I don't want it. I don't want to destroy it. I'll wait until there's a better way in the future to test DNA on it. So it doesn't get damaged. I mean, the DNA person even told me, he told me it's the right bottom canine on how it looked. I mean, that's what he said. It's a right bottom canine. Even the vet even said, yes, a right bottom canine. But he says, I've never seen anything like this before. I've never seen a tooth like this. So there is physical evidence out there, but it's being suppressed. And you really get the point. You can't even trust the DNA places to even do it, because somehow it's going to get lost, or it's going to get stolen, or it's going to get damaged.
Yeah, I had a friend who worked in I don't know if you're familiar with like DDC. Mm-hmm. It's up, I think, close to probably where you live. Actually, I had two friends work there for a very long time, and they had all kinds of stuff come in. They would just test anything and everything indiscriminately. I mean, I don't know if you guys remember Grumpy Cat, that adorable, precious little cat, God rest his soul. They even tested Grumpy Cat, like his DNA, to see if, or her DNA, I think it was a girl, to see if it was like a genetic thing or whatever. And I believe they had some people bringing in encrypted stuff or like mailing it in. And so I just wonder, like, if it's, what's the distinction? Are there some places that'll do it, some places that won't? Maybe it's, I don't know. I'm sure there's nuance to it. There's probably a reason.
It's not, believe it or not, there's not a whole lot of places that will do it, that do DNA testing, like on hair and things like that. Most DNA places are just for you to find out who your, baby's daddy is.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, that's all what it is.
Oh, yeah. DDC did a lot of that, definitely.
Yeah. And stuff. So, you run into that problem. So, that's what we're dealing with right now, is just, can we trust giving this stuff away? I mean, I want to be there when it's being tested, but you can't.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, no, that's obviously they're not going to let that happen. It'd be cool though. They could set up little like tours where they take a group of people and like, now in here we're testing a glob of alleged Dogman hair.
Well, it's like I just sent you some pictures.
Okay.
Through Messenger. Now, I did a investigation 2 years ago. Actually, I was filming for a TV show about Dogman 2 years ago, and it was at Knob Creek Forest, National Forest. And I got there before the film crew got there. So I got out of my car, and I was just taking some pictures, and a wild pig came up, chased me, got back in my car, ran around my car for about 20 minutes before it decided to leave. I mean, this was a boar. I'm not kidding you. This thing was a feral pig or something. But it ended up leaving, so I ended up getting out. So I'm walking in the woods. I hear a growl. I mean, it was just like it was right there, and this huge branch comes flying at me. So I looked off to my right. I see this dark object just drop to the ground. And I was taking pictures. The first picture you see is from the distance from where I am. And this is like where I zoomed in on it. And you can see the face very well. That one has a snout on it. And the very last picture where you see it looking through with the eyes, it looks like its hands covering its mouth and nose. So it's kind of weird looking.
I'm gonna pull them up here one by one.
So that's the first picture. You see the dark object between the trees. That's where it's laying down looking at me.
All right, let me look here. Let me look real good because I'm not seeing.
See where the tree's going to an angle, and there's one that's straight up, that smaller tree.
Yeah.
It's right in the center. You see the little dark object there on the bottom?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, right there. That's the head looking at me. So if you go to the other pictures.
Okay, give me just a second. Kind of a slow process doing screen shares.
Yeah.
Okay. Stop screen, I guess. You can keep talking. This will take me just a second.
So it was sitting there watching me. So we knew that there were dogmen in that area. That's why we were filming in that area there. But like you said, this thing, you can see it right there looking right at me. And you can see like the snout with the tip of the nose.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. And you said you took this picture?
Yeah, with a
okay.
Nikon 580 or something like that. I can't remember what camera I had that day.
I feel like I've seen this floating around online too. Like, are people sharing this image quite a bit? Because this one looks familiar.
I posted it one time. God knows people are stealing everybody's stuff. So,
Yeah, no, that one, I will say that one is interesting. I would like to take a closer look at this one in Photoshop or something and just kind of see what I can see with it. But yeah, I mean, potential pareidolia aside, I definitely see a face. Mm-hmm. What do you think about it, Rebecca?
Yeah, I can see the eyes and the nose, or the bridge of the nose.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, it was standing up when the tree branch hit, and I looked over. It was standing, and it just it dropped to the ground. So I saw it physically standing up,
right.
And saw it hit the ground. So
it's interesting.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull up another one here. This last one. This is kind of. So what is this? Is this out of the same series of photos?
Yeah, that one's kind of, I don't know why that one turned out low or turned out small of all the pictures. Are you able to bring that up a little bit?
Unfortunately, no. But I feel like we could probably. Well, yeah, it does look pretty small on the screen share.
Yeah,
no, I can't zoom in, unfortunately.
I don't know why it did that, but you can see the head, you can see the two eyes, okay, and its hands covering its face. You can see it much better if like on my phone, the picture's a lot better.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to pull it off the original thing, but yeah, you can see the eyes and you can see the shine on the skin of the forehead. But the only thing is, I didn't see any ears on it, so I couldn't tell you if it was a Bigfoot, or if it was a Dogman.
Yeah.
But like I said, when the picture's bigger and you can see it, its hands covering its face, covering its mouth and nose.
Huh. That is interesting. I like the other shots pretty well. Those definitely, they're pretty clear, which, I mean, usually when we see cryptid pictures, it looks like somebody took them with a potato.
And they were moving around, like jumping on a trampoline while they were doing it.
Yeah, but these are pretty clear, and these I would give a little bit of, there's a little authenticity there. It's pretty interesting. It's so hard to find any type of pictures. Like, I see a lot of pictures on like Reddit and stuff on their Dogman forum, and I see them, in various places. And most of the time, people don't like to hear this, but most of the time there's nothing there. And it's pareidolia, usually. But yeah, those are some pretty good pictures. I don't think I'd seen those before, but it's pretty good.
Yeah, when it comes to looking at paranormal pictures of any kind, or just, walking outside, your brain is your own worst enemy in seeing things because it's going to try to make a face out of,
Yeah.
whatever
Yeah.
you're
I mean, I
looking
could
at.
send you a couple more if you want to look at them. It's like a friend of mine's daughter was at a park in up there in Akron, and this is the heavy area where dogmen are. And she was on top of the trail, and she just happened to look over to her left, and she saw what she described as a werewolf by a tree standing up looking at the people on the lower trail. And it's kind of, I mean, it's kind of a good picture, you know. I'll send that one to you, let you take a look at.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely send it over. What about video? Have you seen any video out there floating around on the internet that you think might have some authenticity to it?
Have you seen the one where it's digging in the graveyard, the cemetery?
I think maybe is that the one that they call the grave digger? It's
Yeah,
just kind of synonymous with. Yeah, I think I've seen that one.
yeah, that's the really about the only one I know of right now. Where I want to say hi to my niece, Brandy, and her friend. Oh God, I can't think of her name now. Jeez, she just texted me they're listening. So yeah, they're just that's the only thing that's out there right now that I can honestly find.
Yeah.
Sam, hello Sam. I remember now.
Shout out to Brandy and Sam.
Sam, shout out to Brandon.
Hi.
Um, but that's the only ones right now that I've actually was able to see or actually find some type of really good video of Dogman, because some of the stuff that's out there is like stuff that's coming in from like Brazil and some of these other crazy countries, and it's just it's like you can't really trust those videos.
Yeah, a lot of people are trying to get, engagement and they fabricate things and, just to, and it falls into the category, I think, of like paranormal entertainment, which is something we've been talking about a lot here recently on the channel. And it's really frustrating. But yeah, you got to kind of weed through it. You definitely can't take everything as hardcore evidence or whatever. So this next picture you sent me, I'm going to pull it up real quick. And you can tell us a little bit about this one.
Yeah, you can. What it is, she's up on top. You can see the object standing there and looking at the guy down there. And then between the two trees, there's a dog. And she sat there and watched this thing. And she called me and she sent me the picture. And she called me because there's a creek that runs through there. And she goes, "Man, I'm looking at this, dog man, watch this guy." I mean, she's like, 16 years old. I'm like, get out of that park, get out of there. If this thing sees you. But she snapped the picture real quick. She said she saw it move, and then she said it stood up. She saw it, and that's when she took the picture, is when it stood up. I mean, you can see the human shape of this thing standing there looking at him. And it's a pretty big creature there.
Yeah, so it's the thing in the center of the picture,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah,
And
or-
who's the person? Just a random bystander?
Yeah, the guy's walk is just a random some guy, and then right behind him is someone with a dog.
I wonder if they saw it.
I don't know, but
It's
it
pretty
obviously is
bare out
watching them. I think it was probably watching the dog,
Yeah,
more than anything.
that's pretty crazy. I would be interested to hear what those two people down below saw too, because there's not a whole lot of room to hide for something that big. It's on the move.
No, excuse me. That Metro Park is huge.
Yeah,
Okay.
but like in this particular area right here, it's clearly in view. And if it ran either to the left, right, or forward or back, I mean, somebody is going to see it because there's no foliage.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to know if these people saw it too. That's pretty crazy.
Well, I told her she was going to go talk to him. I was like, no, just get to your car and get home. And her dad got really mad at her for being up there by herself.
Yeah.
So I sent you another picture. This is one that's in a tree that was watching one of our investigators.
Okay.
And I'm gonna send you one more. This is the close up of the last picture you just sent.
Now this one to me looks small. What kind of size creature are we looking at here? Because it looks a little bit feline too.
No, that's I don't think it's. I mean, you can see the legs on the bottom there, but that was. They said it was something. Now you have to understand this is not a close up picture. This is just a
crop.
Yeah, crop picture.
Yeah, I can tell
from
it's
a farther distance and stuff. So, but you get stuff like this. You know as well as I do. You have a lot of shadow and light and a lot of dead leaves and branches and stuff like that could be like anything.
Yeah, these are the kind of pictures that I just don't put much stock into because, for the reasons that you said, and also because, as a ghost hunter, one of my rules for image analysis was always if you have to magnify a picture a gazillion times and then crop the hell out of it to be able to see something, then you didn't catch anything.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and I feel like that rule kind of applies to like cryptid stuff as well.
Excuse me. I do. Excuse me. I do it on certain pictures because I just want to see what kind of detail, I can get out of it. But when you do that, you start getting the pixels to show up.
Yeah.
Unless you got a really good program that can, keep the image,
Yeah, but you can only do so much to res up a picture because it's all based on how the photo shot. So whatever shoots the photo is what basically controls the resolution and pixelation.
Right.
So, and I mean, and it's definitely like, it's one thing to crop them just to, have them for your own reference and be like, oh, hey, here's the thing in this picture. But I've had people send me, alleged paranormal captures, and they're like zoomed in and cropped. And I'm like, this is so pixelated. I can't even tell what I'm looking at. Can you send me the full picture? And then they send me a picture and I can't even locate what they cropped because they zoomed in so far. And then I think when you add the element of the forest, because that's primarily where you're going to see cryptids, right, is in the forest, then it's like a big old mess. So, but I mean, this one is interesting. I definitely see something there. It's definitely something that reflects absolutely no light and, is pretty solid. But is it a common animal? I don't know.
Yeah.
But it is interesting. And these are definitely some cool pictures.
It's like I got this one, picture that it's really weird. I can send it to you sometime. There's a Bigfoot digging in a cemetery, okay, and you can see the Bigfoot clear, but it was taken with a digital camera. But you can see in the background there's like a face that shows up in the picture like a nose and a mouth with a mustache, and next to it you see like a gray alien with the two big black eyes, and I mean it's just a pixel doing that. There was no alien in the picture and there's no face in the picture. It's just
like that escalated quickly.
Yeah.
What's that?
I said that's like that escalated quickly.
Yeah, going from looking like, such a specific thing to being like, oh, wait, no, it's just pixels.
Yeah. But I mean, that's what I'm talking about. And that's the problem you have when you use certain images and, things like that. Or not images, but like the old digital cameras, and so forth.
Yeah.
But that's like kind of like a little bit blown up of the creature where you can see the back of it.
Yeah.
I don't know why they're showing up small to you.
It's just the way I'm having to pull them up through Facebook because,
Okay.
and the way that I'm projecting them onto the screen. But I mean, it's okay. I think they can, everybody can probably see them pretty well.
Yeah.
Somebody in the comments said, "Hey, Sugar Britches, I can't think of a pet name. Quick, give me a ridiculous pet name." What's happening, hot stuff?
Right.
That's all I got, JG. I'm sorry. That's the best I could do.
When I typed hello, I said it. Hi there, Sugar Bridges.
So I want to ask Joedy, is there any news about Skinwalker Ranch? Is there anything new going on out there?
I got a good friend who there's a lot of stuff going out there. Okay. Now on the show, they're just talking about just the, like the supernatural or the extraterrestrial. They're having issues out there with large canines, but the History Channel doesn't want them to talk about it. And it's not so much the History Channel doesn't want them to talk about it. It's just they don't want to talk about it because they want to keep this so scientific, and people aren't really following the show. It's getting the third season, but it's getting to the point where, the show is just getting so difficult to follow because it's so scientific. And when people think of the Skinwalker Ranch, they think of the Skinwalker or the large canines. Okay. And some, animal mutilations and UFOs, but they're trying to get away from all that stuff.
So I had no idea that there was a show. This is news to me that there's a show.
Oh yeah. They have a show on History Channel called Secrets of the Skinwalker Ranch.
I do believe you can watch it on Discovery Plus.
Yeah, Discovery
I
Plus.
might have to check that out.
I tried out the first episode and was like, eh.
Oh, I tell you, the first 3 or 4 episodes of first season, I had to drink a lot of wine just to get through it.
Yeah, it's pretty
yeah,
far-fetched.
It's boring. It's it's too high tech. It's hard for people to follow. It's just they don't want to talk about the real stuff. That's the thing that really makes me angry. They don't want to talk about the real stuff.
Right.
But the problem is with the Skinwalker Ranch, there's more stuff happening outside the Skinwalker Ranch than happening inside the Skinwalker Ranch. We did an investigation out there, and we even tried to talk to them to go on property to talk to them, and they wouldn't even have anything to do with us. But there's this small little community, a bunch of ranchers. They're like 6 houses in this area, and they're kind of spread out a little bit, but they're all close. Okay, so they know there's a Bigfoot in the area. Everybody has seen this Bigfoot. Okay, the Bigfoot never bothered any of the livestock, people's pets, never bothered them. They would see it, crossing the field, things like that. So it was a kind of a natural thing. They weren't really scared of it because it never bothered them. And then animals start coming up mutilated, pets coming up missing, sheep coming up missing, things like that. And so they knew, well, this can't be the Bigfoot. So then they start seeing this large canine going after their livestock. And they notice that this canine is walking on 2 legs. So this one lady, where most of the activities taking place, is on her farm. Now, this thing has attacked her horses. And you all know, a horse can kill you. Okay. Yeah. This thing attacked a horse from the front, which was the most dangerous thing to do. There's 5 claw marks going down. I have the pictures. 5 claw marks going down the chest of the horse. and you can see how the chest is swollen from, you know, just the infection from the scratch.
Is
And
that actually posted on the NADP website? Because I think I saw that the other day.
yeah, I think that one's on there.
Yeah, I saw that. That's pretty gruesome.
Yeah, and so it attacked a couple of her horses. So her daughter, the horses kind of go, you know, crazy because this corral is kind of like right by the house where they keep, you know, the horses. So they have a security light there, and the security light's kind of like by her bedroom. So the security light came on, the horses are going nuts. She looks out, and you know, she's like 13 years old, and she drew a really good picture, but she said there was a wolf that was doing a army man's crawling. It was on its stomach crawling from elbow to knee, and that's the way she described it. And
well, that's what I saw too. Was the thing that I had the encounter with was like solid snake on the ground crawling on its belly.
Yeah, and so this was, and the daughter drew a really good picture of it, you know, for us. So one night they're hearing all this screaming coming from the woods. They knew the Bigfoot scream and this Dogman scream. So everybody's coming out and listening to this fight that's taken on in the woods there. So they never saw the Bigfoot again. To this day, and this was a little over a year ago, and they still have not seen that Bigfoot. And the people in that community are moving because this Dogman is leaving like dead deers on their porches and stuff. You know, I'm not kidding. You know, for whatever reason, it's coming up to the people's houses, and it's like puts its hands on the windows where it's looking into the windows, and we have all these pictures of these handprints of this thing on the side of the houses, you know, the windows. So yeah, there was a lot going on, you know, in this particular area. And like I said, this is outside the Skinwalker Ranch.
Right.
And there's a couple other places that were around here that were having a lot of Dogman activity. That was almost the same, where it's attacking the livestock, you know, people's horses, killing their cattle, things like that. I mean, it's a lot of weird stuff.
Yeah. I don't know if you can see the comment on the screen, but Cryptid is someone who's been here for a while, and they have a lot of really interesting things to talk about in regard to Dogman. You guys maybe should link up or something. And they said that that's exactly what they saw when it crawled over the hill. And yeah, it's like that's kind of what made me, like, that positioning is what made me feel like maybe that was the answer to what I saw that time, because the only other thing I could think of that would crawl similar to that and be that low to the ground and be as long as it was an alligator, but there's no way there was an alligator in the road in eastern Kentucky. So
well, the thing is, it's like, you know, my dog, you know, I have him trained because I use him in the field sometimes. German Shepherds, you can train them to crawl on their stomach. Okay. In the military, they do that. So you can't hear it. And you can actually, like I said, it's not uncommon for dogs to crawl. And, you know, my dog can do it. I've seen other military dogs do it. Police dogs do it. It's just where it can be done. So it's very typical, you know, for this type of animal to crawl, to sneak up, you know, and pounce on you.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you about, there's another thing I want to get to, because I know we're coming up on 8 o'clock. I want to talk about the Tennessee case. Is that something you can talk about?
The Tennessee, which
the one we were talking about on the phone the other day. I want to kind of touch on that real quick.
The autopsy ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could you give us like a little backstory, just a brief summary of what it was? Because I don't think a lot of people know about that case, and that might be a really significant case.
There's 2 killings that took place in the same general area, and both of them were labeled canine killings, pack of dogs. Okay, so I ended up getting the autopsy reports from both cases, and you can tell. You read it, didn't you?
Actually, I tried, and I honestly, it didn't make a lot of sense to me.
It didn't. And I mean, and I'm glad you said that, because you can tell the doctors were struggling with what they're trying to say and what they can say and what they can't say. And that's the thing about the reports, because it's not how a normal autopsy report's written, because you can tell they it seemed like they were told, don't say this, you need to say it this way, but you need to go around saying it that way. Because like you said, the doctors in both the reports, they struggled with what they were trying to say. But, they knew it was some type of canine that did it. But the guy that got killed, were they trying to say it was his dogs that did it, but his DNA was never found on the dogs, nor was the dog's DNA ever found on him. Now, the DNA that was found on him did come from a canine, but it was only one, because the DNA all matched up to be the same canine. So if multiple dogs did, they would have been multiple canines, and they would have been able to tell from the DNA what type of dogs they were. So the woman that got killed, I mean, she was the one that was just totally mutilated the worst out of both cases. Even in that report, you can tell when on the drawing they just didn't put in everything, because the witnesses, I mean, they said this woman was just literally ripped apart.
Could I actually get a copy of that autopsy report?
Yeah, Sarah, I sent Sarah copies.
Yeah.
Sent both of them. Yeah, Sarah can give you copies of them.
Yeah, I'll send it over
Awesome.
to you.
Thank you.
Honestly, I've never. Are you familiar with autopsies? Because I'm not.
I'm familiar with all kinds of medical paperwork and charts and examinations. Yeah.
I tell you what, it took an act of God. It took an act of God to get these, because they were just not getting them out. I had to go through someone that actually had the capability of getting the autopsies, because they were not releasing these autopsy reports to just anybody. So I'm waiting, for to come kick my door down and ask me where the hell I got these things at.
Yeah.
Let's not have that happen.
Yeah, I saw that it said confidential at the top, and suddenly it felt illegal to be looking at them.
I know, and that's the thing, because it says confidential, because I mean, they're legitimate, because I had someone look at them and they're 100% legitimate documents. So yeah, so I'm like, I'm waiting for someone. Where'd you get those at, buddy?
Yeah.
And so, because like I said, you just can't get it under Freedom of Information Act, because once the case is considered confidential or sealed, which those cases are by the police, which is odd. Why would the police reports is what I want, but the police reports are sealed.
Yeah.
And they're sealed by the courts. So you can't get copies of them. So if these were dog attacks by pack of dogs, why would the court seal, give the police the permission to seal these documents and not give them out under Freedom of Information Act?
Yeah, that's something that I would really like to, I don't know who you would ask, who a good source would be for something like that, but I know that there are a lot of nuances to this type of thing, and I just like to, ask somebody who's kind of on the inside, hey, do you know why this would be the case? Because this is kind of peculiar, and it's setting off some red alarms.
My husband used to be a cop, so I mean,
I
if you
talked to
want to
the
talk to him
department.
anytime.
Oh, I sat there and told him, I'm a former deputy sheriff. You know, can I get copies of the report? And it's like, no, they're sealed. They're confidential. You got to get permission through the judge, and the judge isn't going to give permission out because there's a reason why those documents are classified, because they know more about what happened in those two cases that they're really not letting people know about. And like I said, I know there's a second set of official autopsy report, because I think this is not the original autopsy report. I think this is the one that was made, I guess, for whatever purpose, even though they're confidential and they're not supposed to be out into the public, because they're not supposed to be released to the public.
Right. So you're saying this one's like a public facing, maybe watered down version.
It's a watered down version of if the autopsy ever got out, and that's why, like I said, when you read it, it's just so confusing. They're having trouble trying to put things into words. It doesn't make sense. So that's why I said I know there's a regular autopsy, because most of the time in autopsies, when you get an autopsy report, their photographs are in there.
Yeah.
Okay, of the autopsy.
Yeah, that's another thing is like, I mean, I'm looking through these documents. I'm going to be honest. When I look at something like this, it just looks like hieroglyphics to me. My brain is not geared toward logical type stuff like this. And I'm definitely not, not the person to go to. But from what I understood, autopsies generally come with more detailed, like maybe diagrams, maybe like, maybe pictures, something like that.
It does.
And I don't see any of that here.
Yeah, because this one doesn't have any. I think one of them had a diagram in there, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
But there's nothing on there, because normally they would put where all the wounds are and what the wounds look like.
Yeah.
And
I mean, even I know that, and I
they
didn't see
really
it.
do it on that one. So, but these are, like I said, these are legitimate autopsy reports of the two victims.
Yeah.
But like I said, the problem is you can tell they were struggling writing this, and that this is not the official autopsy.
Yeah.
Because they would have been pictures and all that other stuff that would have been part of that.
So there's one more thing that I want to kind of cover, and you probably know where I'm going with this. I've been dying to talk to you about this, and for the longest time, I thought about maybe just trying to go on the air and talk about this, tackle this head on by myself. And some people in the comments may be familiar with this story, maybe not. There was a story that came out, I believe it was last year about this time, or it might have been 2020. I think it was last year. Where a person claimed to be a witness to Land Between the Lakes. And this is a big deal in the Dogman community. And this is what I kind of want to spend, the bulk of the time on. But so for anybody that doesn't know, like if you're familiar with LBL, you know that there was an alleged Dogman attack. I'm trying not to say YouTube buzzwords so I don't get nuked. There was a Dogman attack there in 1983?
From everything I heard, it was 1983. Most people say it was 1982 is when it happened. Okay. No one really, honestly, no one knows. Okay?
Right, and that's the point that, that's the point that I'm getting to is that
every single witness that I talked to said it was 1983.
So around the early 80s, maybe 82, 83, we're not sure on the date. But what we're also not sure on, based on my understanding of this case, is that anything ever happened at all. Is that correct?
Excuse me. Well, here's the thing. There is no physical evidence whatsoever that the incident happened. Okay? There is only word of mouth from people who claim that they were there. So with that being said, something had to happen, because Land Between Lakes would not be acting stupid like they are over, a made up story. All right. They're
Right.
very adamant about that subject. I mean, you go into that park and you go into one of the little stores, the lodge stores or something like that, and you ask about the beast of Land Between the Lakes, they're going to call the rangers on you and they're going to throw you out of the park. Okay. That has happened.
Do they really? Like, they really kind of get.
They will not talk to you. They're not allowed to talk to you. They're to call the rangers immediately if anybody comes up and asks about the beast of Land Between the Lakes.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
That's not a red flag at all, is it?
No,
Not at all.
Bart Nutley and I was up there. We did an investigation, and Barton just basically asked the girl in, the little store there where you get your campsite about the beast of Land Between the Lakes. And she kind of like looked at us and walked away, and her supervisor came up and said, don't ask these questions. You can get in trouble. So
definitely some controversy about this case. And I know as well as anybody else, because being from Kentucky, we have a lot of UFO activity, and we have had for decades upon decades. And a lot of times, like, things that even I know happened, people deny. There's still to this day controversy about whether or not the Hawkinsville UFO attack ever happened. And there are plenty of people to say, like, yeah, it really did. But so I understand that things get kind of covered over like that when people are not keen on them, being public and secrecy and like all that stuff. But so my fascination with this case is that after all these years with LBL and, with the research that you personally have done, as well as other researchers, then all of a sudden last year or year before, out of the blue, comes somebody claiming to have been a witness and lived through the event and is coming forward publicly with a story about it. And I just wanted to see, like, if that's something that you want to talk about, if you want to maybe go a little into that. If you don't want to, this is definitely
that's fine.
That I'm going to cover, because I've got a real problem with this, because recently there's been a lot of stuff online where the paranormal is taking a turn for the worst. And I've decided I've knotted myself as the official gatekeeper to try to keep integrity in the paranormal community.
Yeah, the thing of it is, the Dogman community is like getting it's getting bad. You're getting clicks. I'm gonna say some things that's probably gonna get some people angry, and I don't mean to get you angry, but
blame it on me. Anything that Joedy says in this episode right now, I'm responsible for it. I'm the one that wants to talk about it. Let it rip, Joedy.
The problem when it comes to LBL is that there's too many people that are, desktop researchers. Okay. Where they're just doing stuff on the internet about it, or they're reading some books, or they're watching YouTube channels on LBL. And they, really fascinated with. And then someone like Roger comes along and tells this story, and people believe it. And then when someone like myself says, this guy's not telling you the truth, something's not right here, then I'm the bad guy.
Exactly. And that's part of the point that I want to make. Right. And I want to reiterate something really quick. One of the reasons that I'm bringing this up is because for those of you in the chat that maybe are new and don't know, Joedy is he's the original Dogman hunter, at least in my opinion. And he's put in decades of research and work, and he's spent money, he's invested time, and stuff like this matters. When you put your time and your effort, blood, sweat, and tears into a project or into a research, and then it all goes out the window because one person, one rando from the internet decides, hey, I would like some dopamine and ass pats, and I'm going to tell a story that's not true, and I'm going to get, engagement on social media for this story. That's what really bothers me, and that's why I want to start talking about this case more often on my channel. And just on my little soapbox there for a second, but that's kind of my thinking with this. So yeah, you've done a lot of research on this, right? Like starting in the 80s.
Yeah, I started investigating in 1987. Is when I started investigating LBL. I mean, I've been down there, hundreds of times within the last 30 years. I've talked to numerous witnesses, about this case. CJ Johnson is, he's passed away now, but he has been doing research at LBL years before me. And you have Kumbo, I can't think of his last name, forgive me. Who's a LBL researcher that's been doing it just as long as I have. And then you have Barton Nutley, who's been doing it. So like none of us has ever, I mean, we're talking over 100 years experience of research between all of us at LBL. Not one of us has ever heard a story about a survivor of the dozens of witnesses that we've talked to. No one. Okay. And then this guy comes up, saying he's a survivor. And the thing, he goes to Cryptid Study Institute, which, Johnny Henderson and Eli Henderson, which are probably the most kindest people you would ever meet in your life.
Yeah, they seem like good people.
I tell you what, if they only had food in their refrigerator to last them one day for them, and you're hungry, they would give it to you. That's how good those people are. Their problem is that they only see good in people.
Exactly. And that's another thing too, is like, I'd like to point out that, this has nothing to do, like my vendetta has nothing to do with them because they do seem like good people. They seem like nice people. And also people who are honest don't expect for other people to come and blatantly lie to them. So they're more susceptible to this type of thing.
And he used their good heart to prey on them, to play
exactly.
Them, okay, and friend them and things like that. I mean, his story is so good. I am not kidding. It's just like straight out of someone reading a book, And the trouble I had with it is, he's how can I say this? The story went one way for like decades. And then he comes in and now it's completely different from what everybody's ever known about the story.
Yeah.
Okay. The original story is the family was there. The family was attacked. Okay. The mother, the son was killed inside of the camper. The father was killed outside. The little girl was found impaled in a tree. Okay. Now, his story is that the creature, there was two of them that attacked them. One attacked the son. The father had a shotgun, shot at the creature, ended up hitting his son, killing his son, and hitting the creature at the same time. The other one killed the father and then got into the camper and killed the mother and the daughter and pulled the daughter's body out onto the ground a little ways from the camper. Okay. At the whole time, he's hiding under the camper up in some part of the camper where it would still be hot and he would probably been burnt.
Exactly. Okay. There's so many inconsistencies.
Yeah, there's so many inconsistencies. And the thing of it is that these are canines. Okay. He would have been scared. He would have put off pheromones that he's scared. They would have spotted him under the vehicle.
Yep.
Okay, and got him. Okay, so he runs, and some old man just out of nowhere picks him up, takes him to his house. He tells his story. The old man calls whomever, and two guys in black show up. Not the police, but two guys wearing civilian clothes show up. Question, takes him back to the crime scene. Okay, and then they're doing all their investigation there. And They take him back to some place. They hold him there, and then they call his uncle in. His uncle flies into an airport that is not an airport, okay, and takes him home. None of that
Right.
makes sense. Okay, like I said, I was deputy sheriff. You know, they're not. He is a witness and a suspect to
Exactly.
a crime scene where you have someone that was hit with a shotgun, okay, and you have the rest of the family tore up with $10,000 in cash, okay, that was inside that vehicle, okay. The police are not going to sit there and, for one, take him back to the crime scene, okay, and treat him as a victim instead of a suspect. They would have picked him. The police would have picked him up. They would have took him back to the station. They would have sat there and worked on him until they got the answer that they wanted. And that would have been the 1980s. So that means if the police wanted to put their hands on you to make you admit what did, that's how things were back then.
Yeah, I mean, and this is where his story is the most nearsighted, I think, is that he honestly thinks people are going to believe that, like, okay, the cops show up, the massacre has occurred, there's one person still standing, and yet nobody ever says, hey, dude, did you do this?
Yeah.
No, everybody just instantly assumes, like, oh, he said it was a monster. It was a dog monster. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. We're going to let this little guy go home. That's not how that would work.
Right. Because you know how many lawyers would have jumped on that and said that was his defense? The guy's nuts. He's crazy. It was a monster.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what's so ludicrous about this whole story. And the problem is he had so many followers believing this garbage. And then, you know, he got airtime and, you know, I'm the bad guy because I questioned him and I questioned people who sit behind a computer on their research because none of them had the guts or to get out into a field and even do any type of research on the subject. Exactly. So, you know, I'm the bad guy because, you know, I'm you know, covering up the truth.
Well, for what it's worth, I mean, I think that this definitely makes you the good guy because you're the one here saying, hey, don't forget critical thinking. This story makes no sense.
Oh, but it didn't work that way.
It should work that way. And unfortunately, I mean, you know, I understand it doesn't because people want to be entertained. They want that emotional connection to a scary story that makes them feel something. But sometimes the paranormal is not as exciting as a fiction story. And I have no doubt that the story that this man, this alleged witness is telling is absolutely, totally fake. I listened to it again today. And I went through and I jotted down some notes. I mean, from the very beginning of the story, there's just nothing but inconsistencies. Like, first of all, there's the dispute with the date. Like, we'll give him that one because 82, 83, nobody really knows maybe. You know, he's claiming to be like a teenager. He goes with this family. He remembers details that are so minute, yet for some reason, when he tells this story, he just skips over the best part, the part that everybody's there to hear. And the two guys interviewing him actually had to ask him at the end of the story, could you go back and describe the Dogman? Because like he left that whole part out. It was almost like the guy was just reading off of a notebook list of notes that he'd made for this story. And it's so funny, like he remembers how many times they stopped on the way there. Yet the funny thing is like you couldn't make a 7 or 8 hour trip on one tank of gas in a vehicle that size towing a car, right? He says there's this whole thing about him remembering what time of the evening that they got there. It was dark almost, but yet it was in April. It's April right now, and it's still kind of light outside. So how was it dark at 5 or 6 o'clock in April in Kentucky? I'm in Kentucky. I've lived in Kentucky pretty much my whole life. Like, it's just every single thing that the guy says makes no sense. You know what I mean? And one of the things that I want to point out too, that I thought was the most insane is that, you know, when something like this happens to you scientifically, because it's likely that he would have experienced PTSD from this situation. And when you experience an event that induces PTSD, your brain does this thing where it records everything, every move, every smell, every light in the sky. Like he would have had.
There's so much trigger stuff out there.
Exactly. And yet when he described the authorities showing up, he just downplayed it. He's like, oh, they were just doing this, that, just fact finding. He used the phrase fact finding. Like, really, you don't remember in that moment what was going through your head, how you were feeling, what you were thinking. Like, you don't have any sensory memories when you've had all of these strange, minute memories before this. Like this is PTSD territory. You would remember a hell of a lot more. But for some reason, he just skipped over all the good parts. And that, to me, was the number one indicative thing, to prove that this was all fabricated. I mean, it's like, are you still there? Did I lose you?
Yeah, no, I'm just listening to you.
Okay. Yeah. But yeah, he would have had more sensory detail. And this whole story was devoid of sensory detail.
Right. Because the thing of it is, here he is a, 14, 15-year-old kid or 16-year-old, and he met an Amish family that didn't know him, and they take him on a vacation. Okay. Someone that they don't know. The Amish sold their farm, but Amish don't drive. But he was able to get his driver's license, and he buys a mobile home.
Right, a Class B.
Yeah, a Class B mobile, which is pretty big. And he's driving that with a car hooked to the back. Okay, with some kid he does with $10,000 cash. Okay, I mean, none of this makes sense. I mean, if I was a police officer today and I'm listening to this story, okay, I would get a hold of the people doing the show and say, listen, you need to give me this guy's information, because we need to talk to him, because he's witness to a murder and he's admitting to it that he's a witness to a murder. Okay. And things. So like I was telling you earlier, he claims he has 2 police officers that came forward that remember him as a kid at that scene. Okay. And when they were getting ready to do the show, people in the community just went ballistic, saying, look, we just got over this guy's BS. Don't start this crap back up with him. So they end up canceling the show. And, I told them, listen, this guy gets on the show and he has those 2 police officers on the show back in his story. Me being a former, deputy sheriff, and I have 5 other guys who do Dogman research with me who are former law enforcement. We're going to write a letter to the FBI demanding that the FBI looks into this guy and looks into those 2 police officers. Okay? Because if a murder took place at LBL and he's a witness to it, okay, and it was never investigated on a federal level because it was on federal property, there's questions that need to be answered.
Exactly.
Okay. And we're still to the point right now. We're even talking about getting the letter written and sign, all of us signing it as former, law enforcement, saying, this guy needs to be looked into. And the thing, he even tried to get $10,000 or $20,000 from a network for his story.
Yeah, I mean, and that seems to be what a story like this would be. That's the purpose.
They laughed at him. And I knew, or I know the guy from that network who he talked to. And he goes, because he came to me and he asked me about it. He goes, I can't believe this guy's story, but he wants X amount of money for it. I'm like, man, no, this guy, don't step into this, is what I told him.
I mean, I think that's the whole purpose of the story to begin with, is ass pats, dopamine, and money.
The thing about Rod, I don't hate the guy. I really don't. People think I hate him. I don't hate him. I feel sorry for him. Okay. He, other than this story, I think he would be a really good guy. I truly do. I think he would be a really good individual. But, you know, I don't understand his purpose of coming forward because, like I said, you know, between all of us who've done research in LBL with over 100 years experience, one of us would have heard something about a survivor.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Somebody would have heard about it. And no one has.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's definitely not personal. Like, none of this should be personal. It's one of those situations where you separate the art from the artist. In this case, the story from the storyteller is like, you know, it's one thing to, you know, like, okay, you want to get into the Dogman community, you want to make a name for yourself, go out and do the research, put in the time, put in the effort. People don't want to put in effort to build up a brand.
The people who bought the story and who ended up attacking me, that was exactly them. They never went out to the field. They never gone out to the field. Everything they knew about LBL is what they got off of YouTube, literally. Okay. And they wanted something to believe so bad because LBL is a very interesting case. You know, I mean, I sent you a copy of our documentary that we did.
Yeah.
And we even had a guy who's, you know, on I call it his deathbed confession because he was dying of cancer.
Right.
You know, told us his story of what he saw. And, you know, he verified who he was. We saw, you know, his LES forms, which were, you know, government pay stubs and awards and citations and things like that. And so we knew who he worked for.
Yeah.
And, you know, the guy, he lived with this for, you know, over 30 years. That what he saw, and he never said anything. And he's dying of cancer, and he's an avowed Catholic, and he felt if he didn't tell someone the truth, God was not going to let him in heaven. I mean, this guy was serious. So he told us the story. I mean, it was a fantastic story.
Yeah, it was a compelling interview.
Yeah. You know, and you can hear in the guy's voice, you know, his voice. I mean, you saw the ashtray with all the cigarettes there as he was telling the story.
Yeah.
You know, but he died like 2 weeks after the interview. But it's he never wanted he was never wanted to let the story out. Because one, he feared for his life. He feared for his children's life. If they knew what happened, if someone knew that he saw this and did not say anything, he goes, I had to live with this. He said, there's 2 families out there that are missing children that have no idea where they are or what happened. He goes, I've done everything as far as look for reports for bear attacks, you know, or accidental deaths or drownings or something like that, where they could have just said that's what happened to these people. Okay. But he goes, I was close enough off the shoreline to see this thing, to know what it was, because we all knew what was down in that park at LBL. Everybody knew what it is. And we even went to the area where it happened at LBL, and he talked about how they cut the area where the tent was, where the accident or where the killing took place. They dug all that out and brought the shoreline up closer. So all that evidence of where it happened was destroyed.
Yeah.
And then they start planting trees. But the road, you know, back in 1979, after this incident happened, where they blocked the road off, where they put this big pile of rocks and stuff in the road, it's still there today. Where you can't get there. You have to get in by foot to where that incident happened. And the whole time we're down there, they're filming us on boats and taking pictures of us.
That's interesting. I didn't know about that. That's
they were taking pictures of us and filming, and they were following us all around, you know, the park and stuff. You know, it was nuts.
Well, in regard to the guy, the man who passed away that you interviewed, I found his testimony compelling because to me, and this I think is where this is where critical thinking skills come in, and everybody seems to throw those out the window when it comes to Dogman these days. But to me, the first test of validity is motive. Like, what motive do you have to tell a story? Well, the guy that you interviewed obviously had no motive other than to tell it. And regardless, like if he'd even laughed all the way through the interview, it wouldn't have made a difference in how I personally perceived his interview, because he had no motive. There was no monetary gain for this man. There was no, he wasn't going to get famous for it. Like, he knew that he was terminally ill, right? So that to me speaks volumes. But then when I look at like this alleged witness testimony, all the comments are like, oh, I can hear the pain and the sadness in this man's voice. Don't listen to that, people. That's not where the truth lies. The truth lies in motive. If somebody's got a motive to acquire fame and fortune and attention on the internet and social media notoriety, that's the motive. And that's one of the problems I have with this alleged witness, is that's his motive for telling the story.
Right, because you heard in he's very calm the whole time he's telling the story. He's calm.
Well, he sounded to me like he was struggling to get through his notes, but other than that, no,
well,
there was.
That's exactly, because I even said that he's reading off of a script, and the thing, he took a lot of time to write this out to make sure that this story was going to be soundproof. Okay. See, he didn't count on anyone like me questioning his story. Okay. But he loved it because he had all these people that were attacking me. Okay. And then now when Josh Turner got into it and did his investigation on Roger and other people that were involved doing the same thing, then we find out, this guy, there's a lot about this guy that just doesn't make sense. His background. We found out he was actually a witness on a cryptid TV show. I mean, it's just,
right. Yeah.
So I mean, this guy, his Facebook page, when we found out what his real name was, his Facebook page, was deleted. It was just a whole bunch of crazy stuff. And like I said, he goes completely quiet for a year. No one has ever heard from him. And then, like you see, all of a sudden, he has 2 police officers that came forward that remember him as a kid.
Yeah.
So, it's yet again another example of paranormal television that has ruined it for us who take it seriously.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, Sarah will even tell you, when it comes to Dogman, even TV doesn't even want to touch it.
Right.
We were signed with A&E to do a TV show, and the Sizzle Reel wasn't that great, but the A&E felt that the show was, people could not handle it. They couldn't handle the subject of Dogman. They couldn't face reality that there's an apex predator out there that can kill you. They felt people just couldn't handle that. So that show never took place. It's crazy. Now we're dealing with, we're talking with a couple networks right now about the show. Some are like really excited about it, but like Travel Channel, the guy that runs Travel Channel, he doesn't believe in Dogman. He says Bigfoot and ghosts are where your money is. People don't want werewolves. It's like, okay, that's fine. That's your belief. But if you sit there and do your homework on it, you'll find out Bigfoot's old news. Dogman is a new cryptid. That's where your viewers are gonna go.
Yeah, I feel like there's some other reason that, or maybe there's a multitude of reasons that they stray away from every opportunity to do like a good, thorough, accurate Dogman series. Like, I don't know if maybe there's like some conspiracies tied up in it. Maybe they just think it wouldn't be a big seller, but I know from just being a content creator that Dogman is a hot button topic, you
It is.
know,
There,
and people get emotional about Dogman, and that's what really hooks viewers is when people lose control of their emotions and get invested in this stuff. And like a year or two ago, I made a video about the Facebook Live Dogman. I don't know if you ever heard of this, Joedy, but
Mhm.
some random person, just just not an investigator, not anybody
Oh,
involved with it,
yeah,
this person was filming, but they were smoking a cigarette, and they turned the camera around and they walk through the house, and the cigarette smoke flies in front of the camera. Well, they were looking through the camera while they're on Facebook Live, and then they started freaking out, thinking like, "Oh God, there's something running through the yard." It was just it was an illusion with cigarette
yeah,
smoke. I still to this day have to filter out comments that you would not believe. Like I've had people tell me that they're going to find me and kick my ass.
Oh
People
my
have
God.
threatened to beat me up because I told them the truth about this stupid video. And it's like, holy shit, people, get a hold of yourselves. And, stuff like this alleged witness, this is only stoking the flames of the ridiculousness that the Dogman
Mhm.
community has got to, because people are losing control of their emotions and they're reacting on emotion instead of reacting with critical thinking and saying, hey, look,
Right.
here's evidence. This is not evidence. Like, make two piles, people. You've got evidence that works and evidence that don't work, and then
Yeah,
go from there. Form an
and that,
opinion from there.
yeah, that's the problem. Is that people just don't want to sit there and look at other views on things. They have their view, and that's it. They see a dog man run. I even heard people say it's a horse. But I
Right.
looked at the video too, and it's cigarette smoke. That's all it is.
Yeah. I mean,
It,
sometimes the most obvious explanation is the right explanation.
Occam's razor every time.
Exactly.
yeah, yeah.
So, Joedy, I know I've kept you on here a lot longer than you maybe felt like being on here. Do you need to go? Do we need to let you get some rest? I know you've had a lot of interviews today.
Yeah, I had quite a few of them today and stuff, and I gotta get up early tomorrow. I gotta get to. I'll be a VA most of the day, so yeah, I'm
Yeah.
gonna go ahead and let it.
All right. Well, we really appreciate you coming on, and hopefully you come
Not
back
a problem.
again. And
Oh, anytime.
we'll schedule it on a day when you don't have as much going on, and that way we can really get fired up and get crazy in here and
No,
talk some
normally
smack.
Fridays I'm normally free.
Yeah.
Okay, it's just I'm dealing with some medical issues right now, and it's just VA is just not the best place I should be going to.
The
Yeah.
VA will make anybody want to unalive themselves.
Oh my God, I'm not kidding. That if people want to know what government medical is, go to VA. That's what's that's what a government medical is. It's the it. Then I just find out, right, that see, I'm 90% rating with VA because of my injuries from Iraq, and I'm supposed to get like 100% of all my medical care. Well, I found out that they've been billing my wife's insurance everything.
Wow. That's
Oh yeah,
insane.
talking about getting livid. Finding out that where I'm supposed to be getting 100% of my medical care, medications, everything, and I find out now they've been billing my wife's insurance on everything. It's nuts. You know,
Yeah, that is pretty crazy. Insurance is a mini splendor thing, and I say that
yeah,
sarcastically.
yeah,
Well, insurance for service members and the VA system itself It always treats the service member like shit. I mean, truly.
Mhm.
I get better care just on dependent TRICARE insurance than my husband does going to the VA for 23 years of active duty.
Mhm. I mean, it's it's nuts. How the system's set up, and how they treat veterans. And it's
Well,
nuts.
yeah, I mean, hopefully, hopefully they get that fixed. That's freaking crazy.
Mhm.
Well, we hope
But
you feel better, Jody.
yeah, definitely feel better soon.
I will. It's just like I said, it's just some crazy stuff, and you know,
Yeah.
I think I told you about it.
Yeah, yeah, we talked about that a little bit.
Yeah, and stuff. So yeah, I'm gonna have a baby. So
You're gonna have a baby? A baby dog man?
Yeah.
You're gonna have some chupadoodles? I've always wanted a chupadoodle.
Chupadoodles.
Half
Hey,
chupacabra, half poodle.
don't offend me. No, no. And things, but no. I've got chronic kidney disease, and I only have one kidney, and been having a lot of issues with that. And they just found like a protein in my blood for multiple myeloma blood cancer and stuff. So yeah, it's a lot of crazy stuff and things.
Yeah.
So
I will whisper in Noden's ear for you, my man.
yeah, yeah, I appreciate it, but I'm not fretting. So
Well, Jody, we'll let you get out of here so you can get some rest. I really appreciate you talking about all this crazy stuff that I wanted to talk about. And, anytime you want to come back, just text me, call
yeah,
me.
anytime. Like I said, if you do Thursday nights, any Thursday night's good for me. Like I said, I have nothing on Fridays. So Friday, so I can go all night on a Thursday. It's not a problem.
Yeah. All righty. Well, we'll let you go and you get some rest and get to feeling better. And we'll talk to you later.
Sounds good.
And all righty. Well, good night, Jody.
Good night, Jody.
You guys take care. All right. Good
You
night.
too.
All right. Bye.
All right, guys, we're going to keep streaming. So don't everybody leave. We're going to keep going for a minute because I'm just going to talk about a few things. There's a couple of Dogman stories and stuff in the news that I want to talk about. I'm going to take a pee break, though, because I'm about to bust.
That sounds like a phenomenal idea.
All right, everybody go take a pee break. We will reconvene in 5 minutes.
All righty.
Man, I'll tell you, that monster energy, as I like to call them, Ann Coulters, they hit you hard, white monsters. All right, so uh I've got to, like, I keep going back and forth on, like, I want to pull this video up. I want to do like a reaction. I want to just pick it apart, but I don't know if that's even necessary because I'm not in the habit of I'm not really a very critical person when it comes to, like I usually just let other people do their own thing and I mind my business. But I really feel like something needs to happen in the paranormal community as a whole to kind of put a damper on the fabricated and the fantastic and the crazy stuff, and kind of get back to what's really important in the paranormal, which is truth and authenticity. Because I feel like it's changing. I don't know if you guys feel like it's getting to the point where things are just not about research anymore. They are about, what gets the most clicks, what gets the most views, what gets what blows your YouTube channel up or your TikTok channel. But yeah,
What kind of ratings
Chupadoodles.
are you getting?
Do what?
And what type of ratings are you getting? That's the big thing. Producers on a
Exactly.
television show.
Yeah, exactly. It's crazy. So what do you think, Rebecca? Always a good time when Jody's here. What do you
Oh,
think
yeah.
about that LBL story? You have any opinions on that?
Well, like I said, Tuesday night, I don't know too much about Dogman, so I've been trying to research more into it. Watched a video from that scientific institute, whatever, I don't remember his name, detailing what happened and everything else. And what I noticed from his stuff is, there was no police reports, no evidence, I mean, it was just like, this is what happened and this is what you're supposed to assume happened. And
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. And it seems like, I'll tell you what it made me think of is when you're writing and you find like a beta partner and you swap stories and you help them find plot holes in their story. That's what his story makes me think of, is an underdeveloped first draft.
Right.
Because there are so many things like I personally, as someone who has been writing my whole life and kind of looks for these types of things in stories, you'll have like a chunk of his story where he seems to really kind of go overboard to recount things. And then all of a sudden there's a huge gap. And it's like, wait a second, like the whole thing with the police showing up and like the authorities coming to LBL at that point in the story, he just dismisses everything that happened as fact finding. And that was something that stood out to me as like a pretty serious plot hole, honestly. Not to mention the fact, like Joedy was talking about, and this is something I've heard other people come up with a couple of times, is like, Amish people, former Amish people, do they have that kind of money? Would they have a Class B operating license?
The only way the Amish people would have anything like that is if they left for Rumspringa as a child and never went back.
Right. And I don't know, do you know much about Amish people by any chance?
I know some, yeah.
I mean, I have a pretty limited knowledge of it myself, but I heard something at one point about like community property. Like if you get excommunicated or if you leave, you don't leave with, like a big bunch of money to get started with your new life.
Right. You leave to have a taste of the world and then you're supposed to come back. And if you don't come back, you're not Amish anymore.
Exactly. And
you're
I feel
left
like
on your own.
Exactly. And so it's like, where did they get the money? And I'm sure, a motorhome like that was a fraction back then in the early 80s of what it would cost now. But it wouldn't have been cheap. You know what I mean? Like, where'd they get that money from to buy that? And like selling farms and all that stuff. It's like, can you sell your farm if you're Amish? I'm pretty sure it don't work that way. So another plot hole. And it just seems like, like a half-baked concept that this guy was expressing. And then it seems like his mind sort of jumped topics. And then he went to, and I didn't know about this until Joedy told me about it yesterday, about the whole thing with the two people who are allegedly police officers who were involved in this case, vouching for this guy. Like, that's weird. That's suspicious. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And how did he find him? Like, he just so happened to run into these guys at Walmart. Like, hey, I remember you from the massacre.
Right.
Hey, would you guys hop on a live stream and tell everybody I'm telling the truth? I don't know.
I don't know. It's all sketchy.
It is. It is crazy. And the holes in his story just go and go and go. I've got like a whole list of things that I jotted down today. when I was going back through that, and I really didn't get to ask Joedy where it stands right now, but I guess, kind of like with the show that the guy wanted not working out, and I guess that's the most recent development in the story. But I did go to the alleged witness's YouTube channel, and he has a video from 7 days ago where he said that the two guys that run, I can never remember that channel. What did you say? It was like scientific something or another.
It's something scientific.
Yeah. Whatever their name is, I don't know. Apparently, they're not going to platform this guy again, and I don't know if there's any. I don't know if they have beef going on or anything like that. So I'm definitely not commenting on that. But he did express that they wouldn't be platforming his story, so he was on his own to continue telling his alleged LBL story. And so I'm going to keep checking back and see if he updates, because I would like to hear him talk about it again now that some time has passed. And, like Judge Judy used to always say, if you're not a liar, you don't have to have a good memory, or something like that. Maybe I just totally screw that quote up. I have no idea.
Well,
it's the monster talking. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it is true. Like if he didn't make any of it up, then it should all still be there in his memory, right?
Right.
Crazy, absolutely crazy. But LBL, I feel like, is like the pinnacle case for Dogman, and it's kind of like, to me, as someone who's mostly an observer, but also like a part-time Dogman researcher, and I'm definitely not by any means like, a full-on Dogman researcher. I'm a ghost hunter and a ufologist first. But just as someone observing, I feel like LBL that's the pinnacle case for everything that Dogman is built on. And I know there's been werewolf stories throughout history, but in modern times, when I think of Dogman, I think of LBL.
Right.
And so it's just weird. Like, couldn't he have picked a more obscure case, maybe?
Right. Pick the biggest one ever.
Yeah. But I guess maybe he wasn't aware of how much research has been put into that particular case. I don't know. Ballsy. He's ballsy. If nothing else, he has balls.
Definitely reached for the sky and went all the way that he could.
Yeah. It reminds me of that 90s motivational poster, like, shoot for the stars and you'll land on the moon or something. Or like, in a fiery blaze in the sun, in his case.
Yeah.
So the river troll, we didn't get to talk about the river troll tonight. Did I show you the river troll by any chance?
I can't remember if you did or not.
Let me pull this little fella up, because I'm kind of getting more and more interested in this, and unfortunately there's not a whole lot of research I can do, because I think this was captured in Mississippi, and I'm a fur piece from Mississippi, so it's not like I can go hunt for this thing, and unfortunately it's not going to zoom in any more than that, I don't think. But hopefully you can see that there's a creature right there. Does anybody think this looks like a goat?
I was thinking that the exact thing, and that looks like a goat.
I feel like it's a goat. And the story, they're saying that they let's see, what was it? Let me check the article here.
I mean, in Texas we have Goatman Bridge, but
yeah, well,
I think that's actually a goat.
Yeah, Kentucky's got a goat man too. The Goat Man of Pope Lick, I think is what it's called. But yeah, they said it was about 25 yards away. I feel like maybe I mentioned this on the stream Tuesday or something, but I am pretty fascinated by this, but I am definitely leaning toward goat.
Yeah.
Definitely think it might be a goat. Anybody in the comments have any opinions on whether or not this is a goat? Oh gosh. So, yeah, I don't really have too much else to talk about. We could bullshit for a minute, or we can call it a night. Either way, but But I feel so passionately about this LBL thing, and I've waited. I mean, I've been chomping at the bits to talk about it because I just feel like it's important. It's important as like investigators that we have a little bit of integrity left in the community. And yeah, unfortunately, it is a small picture. I can't zoom in, and I've got to like do some troubleshooting with StreamYard sometime soon because this is only the second time I've used it recently. But from now on, I'm gonna get the picture problem sorted out. Um, but yeah, I just feel like we're losing integrity in the paranormal, and it's really depressing.
Yeah, I feel the exact same way. I
mean,
mean, I have specific researchers in the field that I've always looked up to and believe, and most everyone that is currently on television don't fall into that category.
Yeah.
Hi, North Carolina Cryptid and Paranormal Project.
Yeah, if you're just now tuning in, Jody's interview was in the first half of the show, and now we're just kind of like, we're just shooting the breeze. Does anybody want to hop on and tell a Dogman story? I always ask, and nobody ever takes me up on it. You can do camera off. You don't have to show your face or anything. But if anybody has like a cool Dogman story, I think it'd be awesome to get some people come on and tell their story.
I agree.
Yeah, that would be cool. That would be a lot of fun.
Well, I truly thought Dogman had me the other night.
Oh, do tell.
I go to bed in the middle of the night. I stay up way too late. But I was taking the dog out, and we don't have a backyard fence, so I can't just, let her out for her to roam. So I take her out on a leash anytime she needs to go out. And as I was walking back toward her preferred area, I hear this guttural, growly, deep, bassy groaning sound in the distance. And my fight or flight kicked in, and I had one foot pulled back, ready to go.
Wow.
And I just stood there for a second, was like, what in the hell did I just hear? And I stood there for several more minutes, and I heard it several more times. And I think I'm certain that it was just a steer down at the high school at the ag building. But it sounded like something was being murdered and scared me to death at 4:00 in the morning.
That's pretty crazy.
I had not taken my firearm out because I can't shoot anything with this stitched up hand.
Sounds like you better keep it on you if you're going out late in the night.
I'm going to have to shoot left-handed.
Yeah, hang on to it real good. I mean, that's the only thing. Just hang on with the other hand as best as you can. That's kind of similar to something that happened to Matt one night when I was live streaming. He went outside, and it wasn't even that late. I don't know, it was sometime after 11, back when I used to do the Monday night live streams, and he heard some kind of weird animal noises and like had this whole experience. And when I did my Dogman Encounters episode with Vic Cundiff, we did like a preliminary talk, and he was telling Vic about it, and Vic's like, that sounds like a Bigfoot. So I don't know if maybe that's what.
Were y'all still living in that area where you saw the Bigfoot?
No, it was actually before. I forget by how long, but no, this was in a different place. This was down around central Kentucky, south central Kentucky. But we lived out in the middle of the woods. And, I mean, I never had any experiences outside or anything like that. I never heard anything or saw anything strange, but I don't know. We never did know what that was.
That's cool.
Somebody said, what do you all think about the Gable film? You know what? Let's pull up the Gable film. Let's watch that. I've seen it. I honestly, like, I have some opinions on it, but let's just watch it. Are you familiar with the Gable film?
I am not.
Okay, so this will be pretty interesting. If I can find a version of it where it's just the film. and not like commentary.
Dude, if you have an 800-pound owl in your backyard, you need to take a picture of that shit and let me see.
Yeah. All right, let's do a screen share.
I'm pretty sure that's not an owl. That's a freaking Mothman.
Yeah. All right, here it comes, popping up. I'm just going to mute it because I don't know what kind of sounds on here. So this is a clip from it, and somebody stabilized it, which I think is probably the best way to watch it because it is kind of a mess. So I think, honestly, I think I'm stuck somewhere in between a bear and a dude in a suit.
Yeah, me too.
I would say that it's a dude in a suit because, as a skeptic, as a forever skeptic, I just don't believe anybody's ever really going to get this good a footage of any type of cryptid creature. I just don't believe it. So anytime somebody's like, "Look at this super awesome footage I got," I instantly don't believe it, and then have to look for reasons, as to whether or not like it could be, either way. But there is one or two frames where you can see fat on this creature, which is really reminiscent of a bear. You know how bears store like they got all that fat and flab, and their hair's real shiny and oily and dirty, and you can kind of see like what would you even call it? It's like undulating when they move. And I don't know. I wish I could like pull this up in Premiere, but you see right about the time it starts to turn a little bit toward the right, you can kind of see its body. You see that? I don't know if you guys. Yeah. So I feel like it could be a bear. I know that the Gable film has like an interesting, almost borderline creepypasta story behind it, where, and somebody in the comments, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm going off memory here. I'm pretty sure that it was discovered because someone bought a box of junk, either at like a yard sale or a flea market or something, and apparently it was in the box. The footage was on like a tape or something, or it could have been like a film reel. I have no idea what the format was. He must have had double jointed hips. Well, I mean, I think bear, because of the fat, the movement of the fat distribution on whatever this thing is what kind of makes me feel like it's possibly a bear. But chilling with cryptid stories. Yeah, I don't know. I'm leaning toward bear. So that's my opinion on the Gable film. I think there is some other, isn't there like another part to this? I don't know. I would have to look.
I wish it was a little longer clip that I can understand. I wouldn't want a rampaging anything running in my direction.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's another thing. It is pretty shoddy footage. It's not cohesive at all. Let's see what this one is. I don't know. Yeah, I guess this may be the rest of it, actually. So, it's, I guess, just like some family, like old family photo type video stuff that they found, and the monster was part of it or whatever. So just a person on a, what is that, like a snowmobile? Looks like they're riding that thing for a pretty long time. I might skip through it, but there may be some other clips of the alleged Dogman. So we'll let it play. Yeah, the Gable film has all the classic horror elements of, a good story, a good scary story. It's It just sounds like something that you would read in a short story magazine or something like that. Like, oh, I discovered a box of videotapes, and there was this horrifying beast footage just so happened to be on the tape, and mystery surrounding the family. And kind of hoping maybe there would be a clip where you can see it, stalking them and in the woods, but maybe not. Somebody in the comments is talking about Southern Sasquatch are mean. Yeah, I mean, it is the South.
Yeah. We can bless your heart and really slap you around the whole time.
Yeah, I would expect nothing less from the Southern Squatches. Anybody have a Squatch or a Dogman story they want to jump in the box and tell? I'll drop another link here. I think I might have done it wrong a minute ago. Just click that link and you can come in and tell your story. For some reason, though, it's not showing up as a link. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I don't think it's me. I think it's the computer. That's what we're going to go with. So, yeah, I guess we're getting towards, here we go. So, one of the reasons they stabilized it in that other clip is because, as you can see, it's like a shaky.
It's all over the place, yeah.
Yeah. I definitely don't think that there's any manipulation. Like, I don't think that it's something recent that was made like in Adobe After Effects or anything like that. I think I'm not entirely sure what the time period is on that film, but it doesn't look like something that was created in more recent times and then made to look antiquated and then reposted, as basically like internet urban legend. It looks like something that
it looked like Super 8 to me.
Yeah, exactly. And it definitely does look like everything looks consistent with the time period, because I think it was supposed to be, what was the Gable film, like the 70s or something?
Oh, then it would definitely be Super 8.
70s or 80s. I'm not entirely sure what the date is, and it doesn't say in the video description, so I'm just kind of guessing, but it's supposed to be old. Also watch all four limbs leave the ground at the same time. Yeah, I mean, that makes me think it's a bear.
Yeah.
Because it runs kind of like a bear. Check out how huge it looks compared to the ghillie suit guy. Yeah, I don't know. There's been a lot of footage, though, where you can tell people are, have on costumes or something like that. And I don't think this is one of them. And I don't think that it's not computer generated. It's not like an After Effects thing. I think
the way it was running was too natural of a gait.
Yeah.
It did. If it was a human, for one, good night. For one, they would have to have a huge gap between their legs and arms.
Yeah.
And they would have to practice to get that gait down, as well as an animal. And even then, I don't think they could nail it.
Yeah.
That straight up looked like a bear to me.
Yeah, that's what I definitely think it is. But it is interesting nonetheless. I mean, I don't know how it got associated with the Dogman community. Maybe the original source that posted it, maybe they put it online knowing full well that it was a bear, and it then somebody's like, oh, look, it's proof of Dogman.
I mean, it could. I don't know. I don't know the history of it.
Yeah. Well, is there anything else? Anything else you want to talk about? Anybody want to jump in and tell the story? Anybody want to talk Dogman?
I don't have any new paranormal stuff.
Yeah, I'm trying to get my ghost box going so that I can start doing some live streams and, stream like some ghost box sessions because I haven't done that in a long time. And
Oh, that'd be neat.
yeah, I'd like to be able to try to catch something while I'm on live, like in real time. I think that would be pretty interesting. I got to find some places to go because I'm definitely not
I was
doing
about to say in your nice, new, not haunted place.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely not doing it here. I'll take it out in the woods or something, maybe. Go check out some, I don't know, local cemeteries like the Teenage Ghost Hunters. While it seems there are more Dogman sighting reports in recent years, have you heard more? Honestly, I haven't heard much about Dogman sightings in the Pacific Northwest. But now south of there, once you get down closer to the border, yeah, I've heard a lot of people talk about stuff. And so, like, with the exception of, I don't know if you would consider Skinwalker Ranch to be part of the Pacific Northwest. I feel like it's too far south or maybe in the middle. But yeah, I don't know. Have you ever heard of any type of cryptid sightings in the Pacific Northwest outside of, like, the obvious Bigfoot and like.
I will talk to my friend that lives in Klamath, Oregon, Klamath Falls.
Yeah.
He doesn't really believe in all that stuff, but he could definitely tell me stories about the area.
Yeah.
He was a U.S. Army Ranger. So, yeah, I'm sure could tell a colorful story.
It kind of seems like Dogman is like a southern type of thing. Now that I'm thinking of it, like there's Texas and like the swamps around like Mississippi, Louisiana, Alabama, Georgia, Florida.
It's all the freaking free range dogs down here.
Probably, yeah. He's looking for snacks, sneaky snacks. Gosh.
I know that Jason, my friend, he had never heard of Dogman, so I don't know if it's just because he doesn't believe in paranormal stuff or he's just never heard any stories up there.
Yeah, Dogman is it's a strange topic in the paranormal. There, like, you've got the people who believe in it who are like 100% committed and passionate about it, and then it seems like everybody else is just like, no, I don't believe in it. It's like there's no in between with Dogman. They either love it or they don't know anything about it. Oh, if you guys, I don't know how many of you were here for the Tuesday night stream, but Tuesday night we had a little paranormal mini reaction to a video. Let's talk about that real quick for just a second. I did a little bit of detectiveness. I did a damn little detectiveness over the last couple days since the stream. I did my research on Dogman encounters with Jeffrey Nadolny. I don't know how you pronounce his last name. Hopefully that is accurate. Should I screen share? I feel like I should maybe do like a little screen share. Let's do a little screen share. And then we'll wrap it up for the night.
Alrighty.
I gotta talk about this. All right. So I didn't get to watch too many of his other videos, but I did research him a little bit. Just mute this real quick. So is anybody in the comment section familiar with this Dogman video right here from Jeffrey Nadolny? Dogman video proof, Victor the G-Man spoke the truth, Congress votes usage of Dogman in war. That is a hell of a title. Let me just say, it's hard to read that out loud. for so many reasons. So I hate to keep picking on this guy, but like I said earlier with Joedy, I'm going to go all in, and I'm going to start like doing call outs when people are acting a fool in the paranormal community. So,
Well, you know, I really hope that this was a joke. I mean, really,
it's not,
I fear for
from
the
what I
human
read.
race.
Yeah. No, apparently he's serious.
Oh my God.
So I went to Reddit because I live on Reddit. I went to the Dogman forum and I typed in his name. And I read everything that came up. Well, almost everything. Yeah, Chu says, let me pop that up on the screen real quick. Good point, Chu. So I did some research on Reddit. There's a lot of people talking about this guy. Some people say that they know him personally, that he's a very nice person, and that he's, I don't know, maybe he has some health problems or something. Hopefully that's not the case. If he does, my heart goes out to him, you know, if he's struggling with like health problems, because that always sucks. But here's the thing. When you put this type of stuff out into a public arena, you're opening yourself up for criticism. That's just kind of the name of the game, right? So he puts this video out, and I wish I did not have to deal with the ads. If you guys haven't seen it, I'm gonna let the ad play through, and then I'm gonna show you like a couple of seconds of this clip so that you get an idea of what is going on here. We'll do like a quick refresher. Come on, ad. All right, here we go.
Personnel and vehicles would be doubled if said attack leads to more than 80% of national population being affected by classified. This funding shall commence in conjunction with the first attack on classified or the first large-scale outbreak of classified, dependent upon which comes first. Civilian and military units shall be trained in containment and combat of classified, including irradiated.
Okay, so just to give you an idea of what's going on here, this Jeffrey posted this video, and he claims that it's proof of Dogman and some type of military cohort cavorting. I don't know. And he's claiming that this piece of footage is about Dogman, that they were discussing Dogman in Congress. And this is what I was talking about earlier in the stream when I mentioned Dogman in Congress. Now, when we were doing a reaction to this the other night, I immediately noticed down at the bottom of the screen, there's an onion logo. We laughed very much at the onion logo because, guys, this is satire. This video is staged. I don't know what the original source of the video is. What I think, and without actually researching the production of this video, I think one of those people is an actor, and I think they just intercut the footage with actual Congress clips. But another thing that's important to note that Rebecca discovered about this clip is that it came from 2008, so it's not even new, even though this video was posted by Jeffrey Nadolny, 4 or 5 days ago, something like that.
Yes, Miriam, it is from the Onion.
Exactly. It's from the freaking Onion. And I don't know how this guy didn't see this. I don't know.
It's right there, right in your face.
Exactly. And this is what me and Joedy were kind of going on about earlier. Look, there are almost 600 comments
that believe this.
They believe they didn't even notice the onion at the bottom of the screen. What is going on, people? What is this? None of these comments are critical of this video. Not that I saw anyway. Nobody is calling out the fact that this is a fake clip, that this clip is, oh my God, how old is this clip? This clip is 10. It's more than 10 years old. It's like a decade-old clip. And it's from the Onion. And the guy is serious. No joke, he's serious. And so as it turns out, from what I could find on Reddit, most people in the Dogman community don't take him seriously. Most people say, like, his whole stick, I guess, is basically like posting things that he knows himself are not true, they're not real, they're falsified, they're fabricated, etc., etc., etc. And he just posts them indiscriminately just for views. So, but he does appear to be serious. I don't know. We would have to ask him. I would love to have this guy come on a live stream. I would absolutely love to have. So, Jeffrey, if you see this, please come on a live stream with me and Rebecca, because I got some things I need to talk to you about.
Yes,
We
for
need
certain.
we need to talk, Jeffrey. We got to talk. So he also goes on later in the video to talk about how there's breeding centers and stuff like that. That they're basically like breeding Dogman to fight for the military or something, and that the Dogman is trained to protect America from who? I have no idea. From nobody. I mean,
It's
none
like
of
they took the premise from Jurassic World 2
yeah,
and made it about Dogman.
exactly. So one of the things that I discovered through Reddit was a lot of people who are critical of him that just don't visit his channel and don't support what he does. A lot of people think that Victor, the G-Man, is imaginary, made-up character. So it turns out Victor, the G-Man, does actually exist. This is a real person. And this person is apparently far more fringe and radical than even Jeffrey himself. And so there's like a whole lot of drama going on behind the scenes with that. And so this is like an entire shit show. So if anybody who's watching this, if you guys are subscribed to this guy, if you watch his videos, all I ask is that you at least look for like an onion logo before you like click like and click subscribe on his videos. And because I've been on here for years and I've strived to bring you all honesty and integrity and the truth about the paranormal, and I don't have shit to show for it. This guy's got what like
31,000 subscribers.
31,000 subscribers, and he's blatantly lying to you. This is why this week I've been so focused on integrity and truth in the paranormal. That's why I've got a video coming out soon, if I can ever find the time to edit the damn thing and get it posted, where I'm talking about, some stuff that's going on TikTok. It's like, come on, guys, you got to start looking at things a little bit more critically. Please don't support people who are lying to you on the internet. Oh, that's interesting. Let me pop that up on the screen. That doesn't surprise me. That doesn't surprise me.
God.
But I would love to have, I may just go out on a limb and send Jeffrey an email and be like, I want to talk to you. Come on a stream. I don't think he'll do it. I don't have a whole lot of hope for it, but I'm going to try to get him to come on the show. What do you think about that, Rebecca?
I completely agree.
Will you come in here and help me question him?
Oh, definitely.
We'll play good cop, bad cop.
Yeah.
So you heard it here first, guys. If I can get Jeffrey to come on the stream, we're going to play good cop, bad cop. I'm going to be the bad cop.
The second you start giggling about something, I'm lost, though. I can't.
I mean, what is life without giggles? I have to remember to scoot away from my mic before I let out a horse laugh, because I'm like,
right.
I'm like leaning back as far as I can. Hopefully you guys' eardrums are okay. But yeah, I want him on the stream ASAP. Maybe tomorrow. I'm going to email him tonight. Like, you know what? Let's do it right now. I'm going to email him.
Go for it. Can you BCC me on the email?
Absolutely, I can.
Awesome.
Does a bear shit in the woods? Oh, Lord of mercy. All right. Well, I guess I've taken up enough of your all's time. Rebecca, you got anything else you want to talk about?
No, I don't. I hope everyone has a good weekend.
Yeah. Yeah, have a good weekend for sure.
Appreciate all of the guests tonight. Thank you for coming to share this time with us and with Joedy when he was here earlier. Thank you for sticking around afterwards.
Yeah, and if you just now tuned in, be sure to watch the replay so that you get to see the whole interview.
Definitely.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess we'll let you guys go. Y'all have a good night, good weekend, and we will see you back here sometime next week. Check the social media. I'll post and let you know when I'll be back live, probably pretty soon. And until next time, don't get eaten by Dogman.
Don't get abducted by aliens.
And we'll talk to you guys later.
Bye.